Hello and welcome to another Betfred Sports video right here in the Quest Media Network studio. Peter, firstly we'll take a look at England's 0-0 draw against Scotland. What more can you say apart from terrible performance?
Well, it wasn't very good at all really, was it? But the end result, getting 1 point there, has helped England, and they are on the verge of qualification now to get into the next phases. But it was a very, very poor performance. I did say last time we were on that if all the Scottish players played 100% and the English players were well below that as they were, then that could potentially be a result for Scotland, and that's certainly what happened there. It was very, very disappointing. I thought that Foden, he struggled to make an impact. He was pushed off the ball a lot, and I noticed that Billy Gilmore reports this morning that he's got COVID and he's going to miss the game, their final game of the season, of the tournament, of course. It was interesting in that I thought that they found a way of stopping Harry Kane making any impact at all.
Yeah.
And the midfield of Scotland was much more disciplined, and that resulted in what was a lucky 0-0 for England.
Yeah, you mentioned Harry Kane then. He's come under a lot of criticism. Some journalists suggest maybe his head's elsewhere, given he's meant to be moving to a new club over summer. Do you think that's accurate, or do you think it's just bad few performances from himself?
Well, he has had some bad performances the last 2 games for England, of course. He's 5-2 with Betfred to open the scoring against the Czech Republic. He's favourite to do that. It's England 8-13 to win that game, Czech Republic 11-2. Rashford is 5-1, so he's second favourite. Sterling and Foden 11-2 to score the first goal in that game. We have found that there's been a lot of 0-0s at half time, and it's 6-4 that this game, England and Czech Republic tomorrow, ends up at 0-0 at half time. 7-1 that's the full time score. That isn't a bad bet, I don't think, either, because England in particular have been struggling to score. So Betfred have 1-0 to England, 9-2, 2-0, 5-1, 5-0.
5-0.
It's 50-1. So that's how we see it at the moment.
I think you've got to be a bit optimistic to put a 5-0 on, but there you go. It is 50-1 for England to win 5-0. And just before we move into the outright odds for the competition, we know that Belgium are taking on Finland today. Peter, looking at Romelu Lukaku, I believe he's the favourite to finish top scorer.
Well, he's second favourite actually behind Ronaldo. Ronaldo's 9-4 to be the top scorer. Lukaku's 4-1. Mbappe's 16-1. And Kane, who you recall, only a couple of weeks ago was absolute favourite to be the top scorer. He's drifted out now to 25-1 on the back of those 2 poor performances. And mustn't forget Wales, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said then, the outright winners, what are the odds looking like for this now?
Well, Wales have come in from 150-1 to 80-1 to actually win the competition. That isn't so crazy because we have had winners who you never expect winning this tournament in the past, such as Greece, Denmark in the past. So Wales 80-1. It's got to be decided who they're going to play, be it Finland or Belgium or Russia in the next stage. That'll be decided later today, of course. France are now the outright favourites. They're 7-2 to win the tournament. Germany 11-2 with Betfred now. Italy on that fantastic unbeaten run, 30 odd games. They're 6-1 now to win outright. Belgium 6-1. England have drifted now to 8-1, the same as Portugal. As I say, Wales 80-1, and Scotland, they've come in from 250-1 to win it outright to 200-1.
Yeah, very optimistic still, but you never know. Like Peter said, anything can happen. The Greeks won it a fair few years ago now when they were underdogs, so yeah, anything can happen. And you mentioned the Italians' form. Roberto Mancini's turned them around. What a guy.
Yeah, he's certainly proved himself on the international stage now. He's done tremendously well. He did pretty well at Manchester City. He caused ruptions behind the scenes. He insisted on having even more control, and he wanted it to be more like an English club, as Sir Alex Ferguson did, with total control over everything.
Yeah, well, he's certainly proven his doubters wrong in this tournament. Italy on a great run of form at the moment. But we'll take a look at the Super League now, because over the weekend there were a fair few games. Salford played at Huddersfield, didn't they? What was the result for this one?
Yeah, well, Salford pulled off a shock result there because they actually won. That was fantastic news. So it was Salford won 9-8 at Huddersfield. They're still languishing at the bottom of the Betfred Super League, the second from bottom. Lee remained bottom with no points at all. And then at the top, we had another shock result in that Hull KR beat Wigan 18-8, and that was on the back of Wolves pipping St Helens 6-2. So it's all getting quite exciting at the top there, and that has had an effect on the odds in the to win the grand final outright. We have 15-8 St Helens, and second favourites are Wigan 5-2, Warrington 5-1, and Hull 9-1.
Well, there we go. Thanks once again, Peter. So, just to recap and look ahead to Tuesday's fixtures, in Group D, we have the Czech Republic taking on England. England realistically should be winning this. They should be progressing, but you never know, do you? And we've also got Croatia taking on Scotland. And if you do fancy a punt on any of them fixtures or any of today's fixtures in Euro 2020, Betfred stores are now open, but you can also bet online and via their app.